what I really love about you, Mary, is that you've been able to bring structure into the dream building process. As a matter of fact, all of the classes that I teach have been authored by you. And I just want to acknowledge you for the magnificent content, because it changes lives. It's transformation at its finest. But you know, that reminds me of what you're doing in the world, which is one of the ways that I got involved with you and your organization. I'd like to spend just a few minutes telling my patrons all about you. And that is that there's two areas that I have been involved with you, Mary, and that is I've watched something you do which is called Dream Builder Live. Mm-hmm. You create a weekend for people. They come to a hotel and they have an immersive experience for 2.5 days. And I have been to many of those that you've created. That plus you also have what I think is the premier coaching institute in the world, where you train coaches such as myself to really help others bring their dream into fruition. But what I would love to ask you about is this weekend of immersion that we call Dream Builder Live. I have seen you bring people from 100 people in the audience to now 1,000 people in the audience over a weekend, and you are teaching 2.5 days without notes, and you are just pouring your love into people and teaching the real concepts of Dream Builder. And I have found it extraordinary. I've brought all my family members and all of my friends, and it's been a magical experience. And now I understand you're taking it to the East Coast. The one I had the privilege of going to has always been in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And now you're in Washington, D.C., right?
Yes.
And you're really spreading the message. I find it fascinating that people are really being called to that. What do you think is behind the impetus? Why people are being called to these Dream Builder Live programs? What is it that they're really seeking, that they seem to be finding the answers for with you?
I think we're in the most exciting era of human history that any of us have ever lived in. I really do. What we've seen happen in just 100 years on our planet, we are about 150,000-year-old species called human. And we're upright, we have brains that have developed over many tens of thousands of years, and the front part of our brain, our frontal lobes, which is our self-awareness centers, where we can literally look at our life and decide what parts we like and what parts we don't like, mm-hmm. and what we want to create. And we may not know that we really have the ability to transform our circumstance in the beginning, but more and more and more people on our planet today realize we are the only species on the planet that can transform our environment. Other intelligent systems, as dolphins or whales or others that we're beginning to think, wow, our fellow mammals have intelligence that we didn't recognize or appreciate. And yet they cannot change their circumstances. We can change where we live, how we live, what we do, who we're with. We can change all of these things when we come from a vision. But most of us get trained to come from circumstances. We look at our circumstances for permission about who we can be, what we can do, and where we can go. And when we begin to understand what I call the dream building technology, I didn't invent it, any more than Edison invented electricity. He discovered how to work with a system. He developed the system, and that was his goal. He wrote in his leather-bound journal, which is in the Smithsonian Institute in the Edison exhibit, "I shall discover and deliver for the world a system of illumination that shall completely replace our current requirement on oil lamp illumination." When he wrote those words, he had no idea how to do it. But he had been working with a system of thinking for many, many years. From the time he was a young boy, really 14, 15, he took a job as a telegraph operator. He was given the night shift. And in the mountains, and I believe it was the Carolinas, he's staying up all night, and what his job is to listen to the tap, 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 tap of the telegraph And then he sends it on to the next telegraph office, and that's how messages were communicated in those days. That's just 100 years ago. The way to get a message across the country had to go like that. So his job was to be the translator of the tapping at his station and then send it on. And he started noticing that as he's listening for those taps, tap, tap, taps, that he could hear other tap, tap, taps, which were ideas coming to him.
Dreams.
Yes, ideas. He called them inventions. What if we could create this? What if we could create that? And one day he thought there has to be an invisible law by which we could produce light wherever we wanted as a species without having to light a fire or an oil lamp. And if you think of 150,000 years of us living like we are upright and thinking, self-reflective, just 100 years ago you had to light a fire or an oil lamp. And today you can have light wherever you want. We've learned to harness that power and light buildings and homes and harness that same light and use laser for some of the most amazing microsurgeries. We're able to, it opened, and we think of telecommunications, and we think of, all the many ways. Like, we are omnipresent in awareness. I can pick up my phone, dial a specific number, and instantaneously somebody I know in Singapore or Shanghai or Seattle or Stockholm, exactly that person's phone will ring. So why is this exciting? This is very exciting because with our new technology, we begin to understand that technology comes from an awareness that we have the ability to create and create at will what we get in harmony with. The same way your television works. When you turn on your television, the pictures that are on your television are the effect of the vibration you're tuned to. So if you're seeing CNN all day long, problem, you are tuned to a frequency called CNN. And many people's lives are tuned to CNN.
They are. So you think that they're attracted to the dream builder concept because it is it's a thinking technology that they can use to really create their dreams.
To generate the blueprint of their dream, to understand how they can work from the frequency of their dream. When I say work from, think from, make a choice for action from. But nobody can build a dream house unless you dream up the house. The first step, and that why I love the Cafe of Dreams so much, Lynn, is that this is a place where a viewer can come on a regular basis, be inspired, make a decision about something they want to bring into their life, and then someone who really wants a result will make a reservation for a table in the Cafe of Dreams.
That's right.
And come in on a regular basis and have a meal of inspiration and transformation. By meal, I mean you actually ingest. You ingest
a menu of programs.
Yes. And then you ingest and digest that piece of learning and apply it in your life. And you turn around and 6 months later, a year later, you go, wow, look at my life. And that's what you do.
That is. And inside the Cafe of Dreams, it's quite exciting because we really do take the opportunity to create something magical. We cook it up, we dream it up, and then we see how things can really come into fruition. And it's quite exciting.